That's true, Milo. I was thinking of you just a few minutes ago, and you put something up there about a girl's placenta who was on a plant-based diet, and so I think I put up there. No, I didn't think I put up there. I put up there voltage. And then the first thing I thought after that is, I wonder how much of a girl you can experience being. Have you ever made love to a girl that you loved dearly in your heart with your heart and soul? And when you were with her, you wanted to be able to experience what it was like for her to be who she is? No, I'm serious. In other words, you will experience, instead of what you are, you will experience what she is. It's like an identity swap. You see how that works? Everything the girl is, I am. Everything the girl is as a boy, I am. Everything that the girl is, I am as a boy. There's no separation. That's three. That's a mono. That's androgynous. That's perfect balance between two nuclear reactors. Fire and ice. Okay? Ever run around with flowers on the top of your head? Like, what is it, the Hawaiian Polynesian girls? You know what a mua is, right? Mua. Mua, baby. Put your flowers on, Mohawk. Let's see how much of a girl you got in you. Okay? Voltage, baby. How much heat can you handle? How hot you want to get? How intense is your orgasm? You ever had a hot fission orgasm to be with cold fusion? Like a full phosphorus ignition? You know what that is, right? You know what happened to me when I did that? To never ever be separated from the girl? So you're running the most powerful nuclear reactor? Yeah, mononuclear. That's a lot of fire, brother. That's why when I put stuff into your page, that's what I do. I know how to light myself on fire. I have to modulate my energy. That's what it's all about. If you take a look at the Voyager materials, you'll see in the latest ones, I think that they've done about how much you can handle, how much starburst, how much star energy can you handle. And I really have had to be careful over the last last year when I was up in the glacier and I went down to actually it was before I went to glacier. It's when I was in Southern Oregon for almost 30 days. The amount of voltage it was going through my spine and my lower area was just incredible. I thought I was a substation for a county. This was some really hot voltage. So I realized I'm incrementing how much I can handle, right? Without bursting into a star. Serious. That's not anything that's not fake. You know that's what can happen. Because that's how much energy is represented by the amount of energy you can handle. Being a full-blown star. You know what I mean? So you know that you can't experience that much energy in one of these, right? Right. So this was all about reconnecting everybody's codes because the math has got to be right. So you know it's all about the math, which is the music that we play in spirit, makes you cry tears for joys that you even know what you are, experiencing what love is that goes on forever, that loves you. So today was another powerful day. I went out there and breathed fire with the sun. You know, some breathing techniques. and then just let it all tingle. You feel all the little pins, just like acupuncture. Activating, activate, activate. Gee. Going to be a bigger radio set. That's what it's like, Mohawk. It's the inside of my head feels like I'm in the inside of the planet. The ecosphere? Yeah, I'm an ecosphere now. Okay. All the pressure changes that are taking place, like being inside of a big, huge factory that takes up 8 city blocks. It's all running on air tools. You can imagine that. Inside, and that's what you're experiencing. You're picking that all up with your antenna. Powerful stuff. That started happening a couple years ago. So when I went up to Glacier, I was going to go see Karen, see how she's doing up in her neck of the woods, right? And so when Ashadana was talking about energy, absolutely. You know, was seeing how much energy to repair the grid, put the codes back in, like a reset. You know, the original 12 template, because of all the mutations, terraforming, everything that they did, which basically is cutting off the lines of communication, so that math and those codes, that intelligent energy, communicate between itself, if you will, between computer terminals, between your heart and soul. You know, spiritual energy communication. What a job. Yeah, she was right about voting. Yeah, that came to me a couple of years ago. I saw a video that she did with one of her other. Well, you know where I came from. I spent ever since I was a little kid. Started, you know, you're a caretaker type, right? You're like a mother and a father as one, wanting to take care of all your children. So I started out with I think it was being a lifeguard when I was, I don't know, 9 or 10 years of age, and just always being a part of the community, do whatever I can so that everybody's in a state of peace, everybody's in a state of love and joy, everybody's able to experience what it is that we are when we're all together to build a thriving community that's in love with itself. In love with itself. It's in love with it. It's in love with its universe, which means everywhere that we go, you're experiencing love wherever you go. Because everything that we are, they are. In other words, they're experiencing what we're experiencing, which is what love is. The real McCoy, the real light. Stuff that flows through every circuit. And you manifest what that love generates. Original musician. So as a result of that, it allows us to do map reads. And so when you're androgynous, a Manu, you know, 3 is 1. Single pole, right? Binary doesn't work with us. You're the first. You're experiencing the first. You're experiencing being one with all creation that you're gifting love to. That means there isn't any separation between what you are and what I am that I'm giving love to. And that includes everything that's alive and living in nature as a sacred temple, right? That's how it is. That's the beauty of it. That's an eternal gift, an eternal blessing, so we share it with everyone else. So anytime that we experience a loss of energy in us, it's because we're experiencing a loss of energy in something else that we're connected to, that we have the ability to tune in. Right? So that's what it is. It's a resistance to experience more feminine energy. The girl side, which is really voltage. All the higher frequencies, all the higher octaves. The real McCoy, not artificial light. Living light, consciousness. It's connected to the source from which it all began. The crystal spiral. Living light consciousness. No memory loss because you're experiencing eternity. Eternal life creation. That's what we had to restore. So we were successful in that. And to be able to experience what those folks are doing in all those workshops with those folks that have the Voyager materials makes me cry every day that I even watch one of those. Because then I say to myself, how can they not know what the law is? Love is the law. How could they not know that? So I cry for them. I cry for them more than I do. I shouldn't say more. I cry for anybody that's ever lost energy and suffered any kind of spiritual torture or trauma. And I know that when I was a small boy, I realized that it could overwhelm you, and it nearly did overwhelm me. When they did diagnose me, and their doctors, they're not going to tell you the truth, but they had a word for it. You know, because I started out in fire protection, emergency medical services, fire protection, right? So I learned all about that pretty early in life when I realized I was experiencing somebody in electrical shock who wasn't even somebody I knew, who was on a gurney being pulled out of a vehicle wreck in 1958 in Oakland, California, when I was experiencing what that being was experiencing, which is electrical shock as a result of large loss of blood, voltage, bile plasma. That was my first biggest wake-up call. So that's why I'll let you know something here, Mohawk. I spent 4 days in 2016 after I lit myself on fire. I thought, okay, now I can do it. So I asked Mama, Gaia, the great living oversoul spirit of Mother Earth, to let me feel everything that she has experienced that is held in memory on this planet that represents any trauma, to be able to heal it and pull those fragments back into the one. And you know what happened? She released it. I could experience it. I was able to experience it. And the first thing that I realized was the amount of density that would have to be cut through, so that all those souls, that loss of life that it represents, what went artificial, altars, loss of fractal. It's like experiencing the point at which that trauma was experiencing, and then experiencing every single one of those points that exist in space, not in time per se, when you're an eternal being, but being able to lock in on it, where it was held when it happened, as if you wanted to restore everything back to before it began, which would be like the first creation, the root races, the founders, the Emerald Order, the Emerald Round Table, the Rainbow Councils, the Emerald Council, the Emerald Order, Guardians. Yep. So that means you got to know something about restoring yourself, rehabilitating yourself, to remember who we are, right? Born out of what love is, that's who we are. Spirit of fire. The spirit of fire. How powerful is your spirit of fire? Right? Earth, wind, water, and fire, right? We have all that in us. 4 arrows on the compass. Perfectly balanced. No broken arrows. No turbulent water worlds. We're all in a state of peace because the skies are calm blue. The blue sky calm of the Pacific Ocean. I'm out on the Big Island, Mohawk. See, I don't call you by your first name, which is what, Milo? Because I don't really refer to my first name, what was given to me, because I didn't have a choice in it, right? My name's Robert. I guess your first name is Milo, right? Okay, well, if they would have asked you and you could have responded when names were being applied as labels to a birth certificate, and they were to ask you, what would you name yourself? That's your free will to do that, right? Are you self-governing? You know, you know, grown up. Your spirit's grown up. I'm a grown-up spirit. Yeah, there are spiritual hierarchies. There are, even though as androgynous, being a mono, I'm equal to all I give love to. So that's an equilibrium state, which is like neutral, right? Because I'm not in conflict with anything. I'm not in conflict in my mirror. I'm just simply giving love to everything that's in my mirror by default, right? So the conflict arises, or when the differences among us that end up causing resistance, right? Between a resistance and a capacitor, and the capacity to experience pure, eternal, unconditional love consciousness. So if there's any trauma or any blockage held with any circuits that you're connected to, through all the math codes that represent all the DNA codes, which represent the universal galactic template, then I can experience that. I can detect that. That means any tribe, any band, frequency, within the 12 by 12 tribal bands, if there's any trauma experienced within any of those, any of that DNA, the original DNA, I will detect it. That's one with all creation. That's a mana. So you can imagine what it was like for me at 4 years of age, trying to navigate. That's why I love the word that they applied to their channel, Voyagers. That's exactly what we're all. We're Voyagers. We voyage through the cosmos. Able to go wherever you want to go, because everywhere you go, you are what love is. So that's like an ambassador of the one. You're an ambassador of Sophia, because you have so much girl in you, right? I think I'll be a girl for a day. You know what I mean? The soft, the really nurturing, the deepest stuff there is. You know what I mean, don't you? It's like this. I know how to love you like a girl, like a goddess does. Because this isn't about gender now. This is about spirit. The flow of the energy that knows how to activate everything that is activatable in you. Because it means it's like knowing every one of your switches. And that's called codes. Knowing all the fire codes. When you're plugged into all the fire codes, that's the math, that's the frequencies. There was a great book called The Techniques of Ecstasy, the shamanic Germany, right? Which means don't be afraid. To experience the most unbelievable frequencies, where you know you're experiencing heaven, and things that you didn't think were possible to experience on that level. But they are. And that's what made it so painful, actually, to see just how much resistance there is across this motherboard and a fallen system, of how many don't experience that kind of love, and the way that kind of love can be expressed, because it's as pure as it gets. But when you put it through the lens of what it's like when a soul and a soul, fire and fire, spirit and spirit come together to create a universe together. Okay? So if you've ever had the opportunity and privilege to experience what it's like to have a full foster cognition, that's like the male orgasm of the universe going bang with the biggest orgasm there is, when that side of a nuclear reaction joins with the other side of the nuclear reaction, which is to never be separated from the flower. Because the very idea that you would not be a mother, okay, of creation is like a spiritual death, and you know that. So in order to close that door forever, it's the most powerful fire ritual there is. And that's to allow yourself to be burned at the stake to protect the goddess that's in you. Okay? Otherwise, how can you experience being a real living star if you can't handle the heat? That's a lot of voltage. So when you've chosen to close the door forever, right, that means you've chosen to serve forever, to never be separated from the other magnetic reaction state so that you become one. And you cannot fool the one if you are holding back one electron of resistance. Now you're just as much a mother as you are a father. You're both. You become one. That's the greatest gift there is. And what's so unbelievable about it is that you simply totally surrender to yourself from which you began. You came. Born out of what love is. Born out of eternal, unconditional love. So now you're experiencing the real stuff, and it's always there. You're not experiencing anything less than what that is, being what you are in energy. You're one, a single pole. There's no more division. There's no more conflicts. There's no more arguments. What a powerful day. Yeah, it's like going out there and just, as everything's sort of rising because of all the work that's being done by all of us. It's like, when you're androgynous, it's like a sponge. You feel everything. So for the last couple of days, it's taken me, just like this afternoon when I went out there and did that another fire breathing mantra, heavy breathing technique, mudras they call them. I breathe fire with the sun. I breathe with the sun. That's what I do. Breathing together, fire together. And then when I come in here today, it's just a noticeable change between what it was like yesterday and today. Was more powerful today when I did that versus having done it yesterday. Because today, as soon as I came back in the house, it's like, whoa. It's like being drunk on energy. It's really, that's how I experience it. So that's the word I use to describe it. You're drunk on the energy. Whoa. That's goddess energy. Now you're hearing all the little tingles, all the little ooh, all the real fine stuff. Stuff out people put out on porches, when the spirit of the wind blows the electrical currents through, right? And then they'd have those little chimes and stuff like that, all the little chimes, right? Hummingbirds. Yeah, hummingbirds. Hummer, who. I'm at a place called Hamaka. Hamakua. 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 I'm at a place called Hamakua. Just thinking about where I'm at makes me cry. This is paradise. It's so beautiful to wake up in the morning and go look at the big ass blue Pacific Ocean. You all have a good night. I love you all. Be good to yourselves.